What is up, everybody? Shauna D Man here, and welcome back to the channel. Hope you guys are doing great. Hope you guys had yourselves a great weekend, especially those if you were on the plains last night in Auburn in Jordan-Hare Stadium. Auburn defeated Ball State 42-3. Uh, there's a lot to talk about the game, but then again, I figured this game was pretty much what I thought I was gonna get, and that was just like maybe like a scrimmage, work on stuff that you need to work on in order to, get better. And one of the things I talked about was, I believe I talked about it on Thursday with the preview when I was giving my thoughts about the game, was that I was kind of expecting Auburn to air it out, work on the passing game, work on pass protection, because all throughout fall camp, that was something we heard was an issue. Uh, Tonight or last night, actually, it showed up in certain areas, but then there was also issues where I believe Jackson was holding on to the ball too long. I think Ball State was, if you listen to Daryl Dapprich on from the barn, he was on with like Kyle Rush and Zach Blackerby during the halftime, and he was talking. And now, obviously, he's at the game; he can see what's going on the field compared to us just watching at home. And he was saying that Ball State, you know how like last week Baylor had too high safeties, so they wouldn't get beat. Well, Ball State, it sounds like, was basically covering the middle of the field. You know, and really there was only places to go was basically to the sideline. Those seemed to be open all game long last night. Um, didn't really run the ball as much. Again, this game was just more about, you know passing and stuff like that. They gave up some sacks. The Auburn offense, at least the offensive line, they gave. We'll look at the stats here in a second. I'll pull them up, but they definitely gave up some sacks. The Auburn defense got some sacks, so that's very positive. Um, I think Auburn turned the football over once or twice in this game. I think, but then again, Ball State also turned the ball over. I believe a couple of times as well. Let's look at the stats. I think it should be, yes. There we go. I have the Ball State side covered up, but anyway. All right. So for Jackson, again, this was something that we were gonna talk about, work on the passing game, that kind of stuff. So he was 24 of 28 for 251 yards. Again, there was like times where it looked like he was holding on to the ball too long. Again, I think some of these routes are taking maybe a little bit too long to develop downfield, perhaps. That's something that you really can't, you can't deal with that during SEC play, because Georgia, Texas A&M, Oklahoma, Alabama, Missouri, and they're going to have guys who can get after the quarterback. And Jackson does not have all day to just stand there and throw the wait for these routes to open up. But I mean, he had a pretty good throwing the ball situation. So Jeremiah Cobb, 11 carries, 121 yards, two long touchdown runs. Pretty solid. Darrell Robinson got in. Omar Mapson got in. Omar Mapson looked good. I'm surprised we only stuck with Jeremiah Cobb for pretty much the entire game. Um, but it looks like Darrell Robinson had a long game. I didn't get a chance to watch like the final 6 minutes of the game. I had somewhere I had to be, so I didn't get a chance to watch it. But receiving, Cam Coleman, no touchdowns, but 7 catches, 77 yards. Eric Singleton had 2 touchdowns. One was like a wheel route, and then the other was maybe like a screen, I think, what it was. Horatio Fields had himself a game as well. Michael Simmons got in the passing game. Perry Thompson only had one catch for 7 yards. got to get him incorporated into the passing game as well. Um, so we had 5 fumbles, but only lost one. I don't know how I feel about that. Definitely got to take care of the ball in SEC play. That's trouble. That's trouble for Auburn for sure in SEC play. But it didn't hurt you here. But now I think Deuce had 2 freshmen. He's got to learn. Ryan G had one. That one, he caught the ball, and it just fumbled out of his hand because the way that it looked. Jackson Arnold had one. I don't remember what that one was. Michael Simmons had ones. That was like on a muff punt, but he was able to get it, I believe. And then Auburn defensively, um, Xavier Atkins 2 sacks, Keyron Crawford 2 sacks, Demarcus Riddick had a sack, Jarrett Smith had a sack. So we got to see a lot of the young guys get in. So, Sylvester Smith was all over the place last night. He was having himself a game, and he was hitting like a madman in this game. Um, most everybody pretty much had a good game, honestly. Then obviously the freshmen got in and things like that, and so I've got to go back and watch like the final. Well, at the time of me recording, I've got to go back and watch the final like 7 minutes and just see what I missed. 'Cause I know a lot of the young guys got in. Um, and then as far as stats go, Auburn was 6 of 11 on third downs. 1 and 1 on fourth downs. We only gave up 68. Now Ball State, they really weren't throwing. They were more of a running team than a passing team. Um, so they did basically the same thing against Purdue. Like they threw the ball here and there, but like every time they went to do a drop back and pass, Auburn's pass rush and linemen and linebackers were already there at the quarterback. So that's really good. 71 compared to 200. They basically had no rushing. A lot of those were because of the sacks, and negative yardage. But basically, there was Auburn. That now, if you keep in mind, that's twice now. They did it with Baylor, and then they did it this game where the opponent's like rushing attack has not like Auburn's been relatively good in rushing the ball. Now they may get like 5 yards, 6 yards, like typically on like their first down carries or something like that, from what I've noticed. But like the run game, not run game, but the run defense has been pretty solid. Pretty much throughout the first 2 games. Obviously, just 2 games, but I'm relatively happy about it. Auburn had penalties again. They had 9 last week at Baylor, 8 this week. Still got to clean up. A lot of it was holding, false starts. Um, Definitely got to clean that up. And Ball State beat Auburn by like just a minute, basically, of time of possession. Um, so, I mean, overall, I'm pretty pleased. It was just like a glorified scrimmage for Auburn. Um, we knew what we were gonna get, and that was just them coming out working on the passing game. I could see where it felt like they were trying to force the passing game, but it really feels like just watching the Baylor game week 1 and then this game week 2. Now a lot of it's going to depend on how the opponents decide to play Auburn, but this really feels like this is a run first team and then a passing team second. Like especially if your pass defense, well not pass defense, but your pass protection doesn't hold up very well, running the ball is definitely going to help that. Now again, it's just going to depend on how teams decide to play Auburn uh, going forward. Probably come Monday, new AP poll comes out. I would not be surprised if Auburn is ranked. There was a couple of teams who lost. Let me see. There were a couple of ranked teams that lost on Saturday. Let me see who it was. I know Florida was one. Um, Arizona State was one. Michigan lost, but I don't think they'll drop out of the top 25. They played a pretty close game with Oklahoma. SMU lost, so they were SMU was 17. They could drop. They could drop out, maybe. And then that's relatively it. So maybe I don't know if Auburn will be ranked or not. They were ranked 27th in this week's poll, and I guess it just depends on if anybody falls out or not. Now Auburn's win over Baylor looks relatively good now because Auburn kept Baylor in check was 24 points, while SMU gave up like 30, 40 points to Baylor in yesterday's game. So that win looks very good for Auburn right now. We'll have to just see how uh, the polls look. I didn't really don't care about the polls that much, but we'll see. And now we're done. You got an early kickoff on Saturday with South Alabama, who they played as well. I think they barely won. I think it's what. Let me find them real quick. I think they barely won their game. I'm pretty sure it was on TV as well. Let's see. Let's go to week 3. All right, let me find them. No, okay, they're 1-1. So it is a 11:45 a.m. kickoff in Jordan-Hare on Saturday. So gotta make sure you're up for that because I mean, could be a trap game because you potentially might be ranked number 1, if not this week, if not after the Ball State game and then you're probably going to be ranked after the South Alabama game because they're going to try to make that a top 25 matchup with Auburn going to Oklahoma in 2 weeks. So, but overall, I saw what I thought I would see from this team, and that was just you're the better team. You dominated. Penalties were kind of a little iffy. Refs were definitely a little sketch here and there, but overall, still a win is a win. You could be a Florida Gator fan right now, so you take you take what you can get. But guys, that's relatively it. Thank you for hanging out. Thank you for watching. If you're new to the channel, be sure you hit that like and subscribe button, comment below. But other than that, I will see you guys in the next video. Y'all have a good one.